This is Noreen, the Healthy Peaceful Podcast. Welcome, Kate.
You.
Today's guest is Kate Ostheimer. And how are you today, Kate?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very excited.
Absolutely. I can't wait for our conversation. Um, we're gonna talk, and we're probably gonna, it's like taking a journey, and we're actually going to talk a little bit about your Ayurvedic journey, what brought you to Ayurveda, or how Ayurveda found you. But before we do that, I would love for you to tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about your background. I know you lived in Miami for a while, where you grew up, how you came to Fairfield, Iowa. So where would you like to begin?
Yes, okay. So I'm originally from Peru, from Lima,
Mhm.
and I moved to United States when I was 18, and I was in Florida, as you said, enjoying the warm weather. And then I moved back to Peru for about 10 years or something like that. And before I wanted to move back to United States, I met my husband, who is German. And there we met in a very nice community of shamans. And I was very interested on natural healing. And so was he. So it was a very nice connection there. And then we decided to get together and we moved to Florida again. After that, we went to Germany, and when I was with him in Florida, I met this couple. He was a meditator, he practiced transcendental meditation, and he taught my husband, and then he taught me. And his wife, Maria, she is angel therapist. So we connected very well with them. We became very good friends. And one day during lunch, he was talking about Ayurveda and how great it is. And this was in 2019. So at that time, I didn't know anything about it, but it was very interesting when he was talking about the doshas and the different types of body constitution and how the different meals affect the physiology and all of this. So I was very interested, and he recommended a few books to me, and I wanted to expand my knowledge on it, and I fell in love with it, and I found Maharishi International University, where I'm studying right now.
Awesome. And now this friend in Germany, was he an Ayurvedic practitioner, or how did you come to become
Actually,
acquainted?
this was before we went to Germany, in Florida.
Oh, in Florida, okay.
The Transcendental Meditation teacher.
Right.
And he was just in a conversation during lunch. We were just talking about it. Mm-hmm. And he just happened to expand on the knowledge because he was very exposed to it. And he had many sessions, and he made some videos as well. So he had a lot of knowledge in Ayurveda, and that's why he was explaining to us and how it works and everything.
Awesome. And so did you have the opportunity to be practicing TM before you came to Fairfield, or?
Yes, I had some experience practicing the transcendental meditation, and it was very, very nice. It was great to learn to meditate before I came here. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So this friend, you met him in 2019?
Yes.
And then you went to Germany in between, or?
Yes, and I went to Germany. And I was looking for a school that I could do online, because obviously in Germany, it was a little bit hard to understand the language. So
sure.
The online program was very good for me.
Okay, awesome.
And then after that, I became so into it that I wanted to learn more. So I asked my husband, what about if we go to Fairfield and we experience, everything, and we see how it is, and we can surround ourselves with a community that is into meditation and Ayurveda and a healthy lifestyle and all of this. And he said, okay, let's go.
Oh, that's awesome. So
And that's how we
you
came last April.
you
It's
came
been
to
a
the
good year.
source.
Yes.
So you came in April of 2021?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. That's wonderful. And I've also met your husband, and I know he works for the university as well, and he's great. So awesome. I know that you spent many years before embracing your passion of Ayurveda in the hospitality industry.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your experience there, lessons learned, share a little bit about your background there, your professional life.
Yes. So I worked all of my life in 5-star hotels, and I work in resorts and also corporate hotels. And I worked for the Ritz, I worked for Marriott, and many of these hotels had in common the wellness, like they are looking to bring experience to the hotels. And in that sense is where you could compare a little bit with Ayurveda, because they're trying to bring this sense of well-being for people.
Okay. So the hotels that you worked at, you were specifically at hotels that were really they brought the wellness component into the mix.
Yes, exactly. I worked more into the sales part, for the groups, for the different meetings that they require, parties or different events that they wanted to bring, especially for corporate, or also for leisure as well, like weddings and parties like that.
Okay, so it sounds like in the hotel industry, your niche was really working with events.
Yes.
And ensuring that everything was going to be going the way it was supposed to.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And given how many years were you in the hospitality industry?
For almost 20 years.
Okay, so quite a while.
Yes, I started when I was 18, 19 years old. Yeah.
Okay. And now that how many years have you been on the MIU's Maharishi International University's Masters in Ayurveda
This is
program?
my second year of
Okay.
studying Ayurveda, the master program.
Okay, so you're in your third semester or fourth semester?
Oh, my fourth semester.
Okay, yep. Not much longer to go.
Yeah, I know. Halfway through.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. So given the years that you spent in the hospitality industry, and now shifting over into immersing yourself in an academic program focused on natural healing, specifically Ayurveda, what do you think that was lacking in the hospitality industry in terms of, were there any things that, now that looking back now on your 20 years and, how they were trying to enhance the guest experience, especially as it relates to wellness?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were there some things that you found that were lacking that could be improved upon?
Yes, and this is something that I thought about a little bit, because coming with this background, I'm thinking, okay, when I finish my career in Ayurveda, what do I want to do with it? Like, I want to apply it only as a practitioner, or because I really enjoy the hospitality world. It's very magical. And it's beautiful to work with people that come for vacation, right? And they are in this state of mind where they are like disconnected from their jobs, disconnected from everything, and they just want to have a good time.
Well, perhaps you're getting them at a moment when they're going to be more receptive.
Yes, of course they are. So one of my ideas was that maybe in the spas they could have a Ayurveda practitioner in which could have appointment with guests. And then through the recommendations, they could have different treatments like the Shirodhara, or like massage, Abhyanga, or also it would be very interesting if they could have a special menu, because especially high-end hotels, they have a variety in their menu, but it would be very nice if they have like a healthy menu, which could go along with the needs of the guest. So the Ayurveda practitioner will give kind of like, okay, what are the needs to the guest? And then the guest can go and say, okay, this is gonna be the best for me according to my body constitution, if I'm a Vata, Pitta, or Kapha, and they could have something that would be good for them as well. Mm-hmm. And also activities, like, for example, the different kinds of yoga. It's not the same for a yoga for a Pitta person than for a Kapha or a Vata person. So
we don't want to give the Pitta person hot yoga.
No.
or vinyasa, although they love both of those.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So tailoring these needs would be very good for them, especially because I see Ayurveda as the science of getting to know yourself.
I love that. I've actually never heard that that phrase, and that's, you know what, that's really beautiful. I love it.
Yes, because the more you get to know yourself, you are able to make better decisions. But unfortunately, we are not being taught at the school or at home or anywhere really how to embrace ourselves based on who we are. So, for example, I see sometimes children that have, deficit of attention, and maybe there is a lot of Vata there. So why don't engage with activities that could bring their mind down, or foods that could help the child? And then you see this child growing up, and then they feel like they don't fit anywhere, and they feel like they are not part of the community or the society because there's something wrong with them. When maybe just by the daily routines, they can have a better outcome with themselves, with their behavior. No.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really great point. That Ayurveda is, as you coined it, the science of getting to know yourself. So it certainly has a place for children and for parents of children, and thinking about my child, and you don't want to fit your child into a box.
No.
because they are all unique, and that's the beauty of it. And how can you create an environment where the child is nurtured and supported, and for his or her own uniqueness.
Yes, exactly.
And Ayurveda can
beauty. That's the thing. That's who we are. So it's important that we embrace that. So if a child maybe is more quiet versus the one that is more hyperactive, there is a space for the two of them, and in their own ways, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the other thing that's beautiful about Ayurveda, it's really those small tweaks on a daily basis, kind of those small steps that, over time have significant impact.
Yes.
But yeah, thanks for sharing both your experience in the hospitality industry and just how you see Ayurveda, possibilities for Ayurveda, and perhaps for your own future career in that regard. So it's awesome. So I know you've been a student now almost 2 years.
Yes.
And not specifically about Maharishi University, which is the shorthand for listeners and viewers is MIU. Not specific to MIU's program, but just overall, you had this vision about Ayurveda, these thoughts about Ayurveda, conversations, you were becoming captivated, you decided to enroll. How do you find, the reality of being a student and the pressures that come with doing that? to what you were thinking of Ayurveda was going to be, or what you were thinking that studying Ayurveda was going to be?
When I was mentioning that it's the science of getting to know yourself, that's exactly what it is, because it's not just about having the knowledge, but how you apply it to yourself. And we come with these different habits and these different ways of doing things that we acquired when we were growing up, depending on our family, the school, the environment, the culture. And then when you see the knowledge of Ayurveda and see that it works, but it's not like you take a pill and the things are going to get better, or you're going to not have pain in the next 10 minutes, but this is more like a progressing work. So if you want to have a good digestive fire, for example, a good digestion, you have to eat well every single day. It's not just one day. So if you want to have be out of stress, you need to practice transcendental meditation or any meditation every single day. It's not just one day thing. So the more you get to know yourself, what are your weak spots? For example, in my case, I have a lot of kapha, so I tend to eat a lot of sweets or a lot of heavy meals. And it's not that easy to just one day say, okay, I'm not going to eat any more sweets, or I'm not going to eat more heavy meals, because I love them. I grew up with it.
Right.
It's really a process. And yes, in the school, I learned the knowledge, but on the everyday, I have to practice it, or I want to practice it to see the benefits of it. And I see them. So that also encourages me to keep doing these different changes every day.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point, that habits are really challenging to change, and we come into Ayurveda with a certain paradigm, a way we view the world, and it really does turn that upside down. So,
but also, the nice thing about Ayurveda is that allows you to make these changes on your own terms. So it's not like some of, for example, diets that you see on the market, and they say, okay, today until now you were eating everything that you were eating, and then tomorrow you're not going to eat anything of it, and you're just going to stick with salads and I don't know, whatever, and proteins. So it's not so drastic, and it's not so shocking for the body, for the mind, for the well-being of the person. It's more like a transition. It's kind of like learning how to live in a more holistic way that could enliven the intelligence of your body. So I think that's the beauty of it, that there's not really a restriction of like, okay, now you don't do this anymore.
Right. I think the problem with some of those restrictive diets and other things that, people are trying to change, is that when you feel like you are kind of boxed in, then you can tend to go into binging, and it's not really sustainable.
Yes, exactly. It's very true.
So, I mean, if for, just an example would be somebody trying to lose weight and they go on a special diet, and versus looking at it in a more holistic way in terms of making those gradual changes, and and using your own body as your your laboratory.
Yes, exactly. And I think Ayurveda is more a lifestyle than that supports your physiology and everything.
Yeah. What have you found in your Ayurvedic journey over the last couple of years to be most beneficial for you, that you've noticed the most significant changes? It doesn't have to be one thing. It can be.
So when I had this conversation with this friend that was talking about Ayurveda and how it supports your physiology and all of this, at that time, I was working, and I was coming home and I was completely tired. Like I had no energy for anything. Like I wanted to be in bed watching TV. And at that time, my husband and I were looking to have a baby. So he's a life coach as well. And we did a session. And in the session, we did a visualization of how would I be as a mom later on. And I felt very overwhelmed because I had no energy for working and something else. So how can I be a mom if I have
that is an overwhelming thought. There's no doubt.
Yes. So what I said, well, for sure, nothing is going to work out if I have a baby right now, because I'm going to be tired. The baby's not going to be something pleasant for me right now, because the babies wake up in the middle of the night and you have to wake up with them.
Yes.
You have to go with the rhythm. And then I'm going to be in a bad mood. My husband is going to be in a bad mood, and nothing is really going to work out.
It's not exactly living life with ease, right?
Yes, exactly. So I started doing some yoga, and I started practicing the meditation. And I said, well, I want to have a healthier lifestyle. At the time, we were eating meat. So we made the decision of changing to a vegetarian diet. And it was also the process of learning how to eat now just vegetables and things that didn't have meat. So it was on that journey that I wanted a system that could support me to have the energy that I wanted for having a family.
Yes.
And that's how it helped me so far. So now, after 2 years, I can tell you I have a lot of energy.
That's wonderful. Well, energy is a scarce commodity. So that's I think I heard somewhere, maybe the definition of perfect health is having the energy to do everything you want to do during the day.
Yes, of course. We all want that, right? And we don't want to
exactly.
feel fatigued or heavy or,
Sure.
that area.
So you've noticed with practicing Ayurveda for 2 years that your energy level has changed and shifted.
Yes, definitely.
That's great.
Also, part of the daily routine is the Abhyanga. So the skin obviously gets a lot better. Not only for me, my husband also has a lot of dry skin. And that's something very simple, but our body needs these oils to get nourished as well. Not only the skin, but in the long term, also the bones. So now I see Ayurveda as not only a lifestyle, but how I want to grow old as well, like in the next 4 years. Do I want to be, at the doctor every week, or do I want to have a healthy way of growing older?
Well, that's wonderful that you're looking ahead, because many young people don't. And then, it's just sort of like, you got the pill box lined up, doctor's appointments. So obviously there's a different way to grow old, So.
Yes, and I have seen that a lot in Fairfield, because a lot of the people here follow the Ayurvedic diet, and there's a lot of meditators. And you could see, people that are way older, they're very clear in the mind, and also physically they have all this energy, and it's beautiful to see them like this, to have a good quality of life.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, you mentioned Abhyanga, and that's not only it's so useful not only for the dry skin, obviously, and especially you're in the Midwest winter where you are right now. So dry skin is just part of the package,
Yes.
But the Abhyanga is and it's also very good for the bones and the joints. Anytime you're massaging and but also moving the lymph in the body in terms of releasing toxins.
Yes.
And settling the dosha, Vata dosha, which is the one that's most people have issues with the Vata dosha just because of the accelerated pace of life, and that the Abhyanga is an amazing way to, bring that down to a level where,
Yes.
to be more grounded. So
Mhm.
awesome.
And also
Yeah.
it's a very nice opportunity to connect with yourself as well, because you get the massage and
Thank you for mentioning that. I recently heard someone say that when you do the Abhyanga, that it's a time that you're actually connecting with your own body.
Mhm.
And we can be very disconnected.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
that's
And I see it a lot in my husband. He has very Vata. He has a lot of Vata Pitta.
okay.
And for him, he tends to be out of balance and get a lot of anxiety and emotional stress sometimes.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when he does the Abhyanga on a regular basis, it does help him to ground him and to be present. So, and I saw it in a video of someone that was saying, like, the best thing to do to a Vata person that is, out in the space is just touch them, and they are going to calm down. So for them, touching is so important because it really connects them back to the physical.
Absolutely. It brings in the earth element, it brings in that grounding, and Vata has the qualities of space and air, and has that mobile, the elements of space and air, and has that mobile light quality. So it's beautiful. Now, as a student, what have you enjoyed learning about the most in terms of your Ayurvedic studies? There are lots of ways to embrace Ayurveda. You can go to a formal program, and I know you're in a master's program.
Mhm.
So what have you found that you've really enjoyed learning about? Anything that's really just resonated with you?
I think it's the physiology in general, and how the body is so intelligent that it knows everything that it needs. Like, if the body doesn't get mistreated, it heals on its own. And when I say mistreated, is, for example, stop eating toxins or consuming toxins, like not only but by eating, by for example, watching TV, the news, or things that are not very sattvic or that are good for the mind. The body starts healing on its own, and that capacity that we have by just not putting things that will bring us out of balance, we can just get better in very, very soon as well. So I think the education of knowing that there are certain things that are going to bring the body out of balance, that we create toxins, and how it's affecting the physiology. Like, for example, if I eat a lot of heavy meals, as I was mentioning, then I create ama, which are the toxins in the body. And then I feel that I don't have energy, I feel sleepy. So having these little pieces of knowledge and how it's affecting my physiology inside is very nurturing. And also seeing the daily things that we can do to feel better it's amazing, that we just don't need to rely on medicine. If we just have a preventive way of seeing our health, it makes a huge difference instead of waiting until we feel sick.
Yeah, we're just it's just an opportunity. You realize you really are empowering yourself with Ayurveda. You're taking
Ownership.
I don't like to use the word take charge. That's too pitta, but you're really taking responsibility for your own well-being, and there's a lot of freedom in that.
Yes.
Yes. And I love what you said, that and this has been certainly Ayurveda has been referred to as a system of self-healing. So in getting to know your own body, your own physiology, your own mind, then there's an opportunity to make better choices and, really enliven the body's capacity for healing through
Yes,
that.
yes, and it is. It's very beautiful to see the healing process as well. Because, as I said, when I was at that point where I had no energy, that after work I was just crawl in my bed and do nothing until the next day that I had to do the same thing. It was not a very nice time because I felt like I couldn't enjoy life. I felt like there was no much more left. And I was being very happy because I was at the beginning of my marriage, but I had no energy to enjoy it.
Right. It sounds like you really reached a place of burnout or adrenal fatigue. So it's wonderful that you were able to well, first of all, congratulations on actually being willing to look at that and take and move into a more holistic approach with Ayurveda. So,
yes, and also something that I learned and that I enjoy very much. Before I was kind of like very eager to accomplish things and do a lot of things.
mhm.
And now I see that I don't need that much. And having that thing, I don't need that much to be happy or to stay well or to be okay is great, because it took a lot of weight out of my shoulders. I don't need to feel like, oh, I need to fulfill these expectations or these other expectations.
I love it. That's great.
Be here and just enjoy the moment. And
yeah, I mean that's so freeing. That's so freeing. You're not always grasping for the next thing.
So. Yes, exactly. Which is exhausting too.
Oh, it's definitely exhausting. But you brought up a point as well, and I think it relates to, one of the sayings in Ayurveda is that you become imbalanced with misuse, overuse, and what's the underuse. When we look at our lifestyles or the way we're living, our diet overall, that it really does come back to those things. So.
Yes, it's not just the diet, but it's also the activities during the day as well. As I was mentioning, my activities were more like, oh, I want to accomplish this, and I was getting stressed out. That was kind of like a misuse of my energy. Yeah. And now that I don't need these things anymore, and that I'm happy with the things that I have, I feel more in balance, and I feel more grateful of the things that I have, and therefore I feel happier. Absolutely. And I have more energy.
yeah, and I think that's there's that in Maharishi's The Science of Creative Intelligence, the do less and accomplish more.
Yeah, that's so true.
So and there's a lot to that when you're feeling more grounded and balanced, that you actually have a capacity for more, because the stress isn't you're not feeling this, you're not as stressed by what's happening in the outer environment.
Also, I think the component of the meditation helps a lot as well, because it allows the mind to be free and to think more coherent, and also to grasp the information better. And something that as an experience that it happened to me, usually during the course, before we have the live webinars, we start with a meditation.
Yes.
And at the beginning, when I first started the course, I was not doing the meditation because I was always in a rush and I was always without time for anything. So I missed always the meditation, until one day I was just with the right time and everything, and I sat down and I did the meditation, and after that I did the class, and I had so much energy and I understood everything so well. Well, before I was struggling every time to take the notes and to grasp on the information, and I was like, oh, this feels very good, and now the class was very easy. So I started doing it the next time and the next time, and I realized that just doing meditation before my class, it makes a completely different experience out of it.
That's a great example, of the power of the meditation. Also your own individual coherence, but the group coherence as well.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. It's awesome. Thank you. And and I know, are you continuing to teach in the program as well, the Masters in Ayurveda program? Because I know were you working as a teacher's assistant in the program?
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm.
You're still doing that? Okay.
Yes, I am doing that as well, and I love it.
What course are you participating in this semester?
The first course, PH 500 to 497.
Okay, so the fundamentals and principles of Ayurveda.
Yes.
So tell me about working with. So you're interacting with brand new students.
Yes. Yes.
To both, not necessarily to the university, but to the Masters in Ayurveda, and they come. I find that there's really a great variety of student. Some are medical professionals, some don't have a medical background.
There's everything.
Yeah. So how are you finding your experience as a teacher in sharing the knowledge with students?
It's very interesting because I think as much as they can learn, I learn too, in the way that
that's beautiful.
Everybody thinks in a different way and processes information in a different way. So when I read their papers, is a learning process. Really, is very beautiful how people absorb the knowledge and they interpret this how they relate to it. No, so some people are more into, for example, the practical part, or some others into the part of the consciousness, and it's a very nice experience.
You bring up a wonderful point that as a teacher, you're learning as much from your students.
Yes.
And you're enhancing your knowledge and your capacity for Ayurveda with these experiences that you're having. It is akin to becoming a parent, because you think you're going to teach your children so much, but you realize that when they push every single button, that you learn a lot about yourself.
Yes.
And so that's really awesome. I think that's the experience that every teacher hopes for.
And also it's beautiful to see how people are very interested on a more holistic approach of not medicine, but healthier lifestyle. And we see people that had not very good experiences with modern medicine, and that's why they're looking for an alternative as well. And what we are, as Ayurveda practitioners, we want to integrate both of them. It's not that we want to be exclusive than the other ones. So the modern medicine has its own place, but before you go there, also you can do so many other things as a preventive way of living, that you don't need to go to the modern medicine doctor. But if you need it, use it, because it's
right. Well, you bring up a very good point about how the university approaches it, and it's not the case with all Ayurvedic programs, but it is a complementary approach at MIU that it's Maharishi Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine. So it's and I think that Ayurveda, they say an ounce of prevention is worth, I don't know the rest of the quote, but is worth a pound of cure. Mm-hmm. And Ayurveda really does bring a holistic preventative approach. There's also therapeutics, but that's really where it excels. And so, well, wonderful. And you're in your second year, and pretty soon, you'll complete your journey in the Masters of Ayurveda. But it's a lifelong journey in terms of connecting with
so much knowledge. Yes,
right.
It's a continuing.
Yeah, and Ayurveda, many times people say, well, gee, you have this ancient healing system, but how is it relevant to my modern life?
With everything, of course, because we still need to eat every day in a healthy way. We still need to have healthy routines like brushing our teeth and using the oils and having a structure, not a structured life, but going to sleep early, waking up in the morning early in order to make the best out of your days. So if we don't rest properly and we sleep only like 2 or 3 hours, the next day you're going to be probably not in the best mood and you're not going to have the most amount of energy. So as they say, work smarter, not harder. So,
that's I love that. That's the best way to work. There's no doubt. Okay. Yeah. So your answer was perfect because, how is Ayurveda relevant to our modern life in every way? Everything is Ayurvedic.
yes, Ayurveda is,
So
I think, a science that wants to support life, and that's what it's looking for. And something that I heard last week is not only having a healthy body means that there is nothing that Ayurveda has to offer, because after you're maybe physically and mentally and well, you still can reach enlightenment, or you can still look for this blissful way of being. So it's not just for you to be healthy, but also when you're healthy, what do you do with your life?
I think, that's a very good point. Health is a goal, but it's not the only goal.
Yes.
And it's, you're healthy, and, yoga and Ayurveda are hand in hand. So, how are you showing up in the world? What is your dharma? What is it that how are you being of service?
Yes, exactly.
So I think a lot of people can get lost in the wellness journey and really lose sight of, what does my life mean? What is my purpose, and what am I bringing out there?
And I think they are very tied together, because if you are fulfilling your purpose or your dharma, then a lot of the probably mental, emotional problems that we may have, or even physically, are just going to disappear if we just fulfill our dharma. Because a lot of the times I see, for example, people that are struggling with maybe depression or maybe depletion of nourishment in their body, because they are not feeling well, they're not feeling fulfilled, that if they find their purpose, the depression, the depletion of their nourishment is just going to go away.
I mean, they're living their life with joy, and
exactly.
and so it's and they're having fun with life. So that
it goes both ways, no?
Yeah, exactly. So I sort of started the question but didn't quite finish it. When you graduate, I know you're going to continue to learn. I there's no doubt. It's a lifelong journey. You talked a little bit about hospitality, but what about, do you have a vision for yourself, or is it still evolving for you?
I have a plan.
Okay.
The first phase of the plan for me is to be an Ayurveda practitioner, have my own place, and probably share it with other practitioners that are looking into the well-being. Like it could be maybe yoga teachers or acupuncture, like to have a wellness center to work
right, to be connected with other
yes,
wellness professionals.
Exactly.
Right.
And eventually my husband and I would like to have a place where we can receive people, kind of like not just a bed and breakfast, but a place where people can connect with themselves. He is a life coach as well, and me doing the Ayurveda, and also certified as a yoga teacher. We would like to create this space where people could come and they could spend maybe a week or 2 weeks, and they can experience all of these getting to know themselves. And I think that's what I said at the beginning, that Ayurveda is the science of getting to know yourself. And unfortunately, not everybody has the opportunity to get to know themselves. So showing them different tools, different experiences that they could go back to their normal life and feel like they have learned something, they have found meaning, or that they healed, will be very nice for us.
Right, that's awesome. Well, certainly that approach will definitely, sometimes people need that immersion for a week or two and kind of to jumpstart.
Yes,
and to remove themselves from the hustle bustle and be able to do that.
And that goes from, because working in hospitality also, I see people go into vacation and they had a great time and they go to the pool, to the beach, they enjoy parties, anything. And then they go back home and they go back to their old routine and they're just tired because they had all these different activities that drain them and they need a vacation.
Right. Yeah, we want every day to feel like a vacation, or to have that space in our lives where we're not feeling drained.
Yeah, so but they go back to their old routine with, like, if we put it in perspective, we work the whole year and we go on vacation maybe 1-2 weeks out of the year. So this is our own time. And what do we do with it? Okay, it's great to have nice experience, to go to the pool, to the beach, to do nothing, read a book, or any of these things. But are we growing spiritually, mentally, physically? What do we get at the end of the journey? So
yeah, and how are we integrating this experience with the experience that you described? There's an opportunity for them to integrate the experience into their day-to-day life, which is much more meaningful. And I know you said when people come to a place like the place that you're describing, your retreat center, your wellness center, that it's an opportunity for them to get to know themselves. But I also like to think of Ayurveda as it's kind of the uncovering where we're remembering, it's kind of like remembering who we truly are.
yes.
And we just, it's just the forgetting that brings us into a place where we're not interacting with ourselves in the world in a balanced way. So well, this place that you described, will it be in a warmer location?
Yes, definitely.
I assume that was the case. Yes. And I know that you're from Peru. Any thoughts regarding bringing Ayurveda to Peru or to South America in some way?
Yes, I would love to do something like that. I think in South America and Central America, people are more connected into their spirituality and natural ways of healing. So it's a beautiful opportunity because people are more open for it. And because part of our culture is into natural herbs. Like when I was growing up, I remember my mom was like, okay, if you have a stomachache, like depending on what I had, you have a mint tea or you have a chamomile or different things that they use for restoring the balance in a more natural way. So I think the nice thing about Ayurveda is that it's more structured. It has the knowledge that has been recorded, and it's more complete than what we have in our countries, because a lot of it was, wiped out at some point.
Right, it was suppressed.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, I'm sure there'll be that'll be an awesome opportunity as well, and to to integrate Ayurveda into some of your the healing traditions in Peru and perhaps other places in South and Central America as well. So any to an individual who's just getting into Ayurveda, words of wisdom?
I think the most important thing is to get to know yourself and to have the main meal lunch. Yes,
Yeah,
because something that Ayurveda emphasizes a lot is the digestive fire, which is the one that allows us to have the energy for the whole day and how we process everything else as well. So I know, especially in South America, there's a saying that you should be eating like a king for breakfast, like a prince for lunch, and then like a beggar for dinner.
Yeah, pauper for dinner.
Yeah. So Ayurveda is a little bit different because it shows us that having a light breakfast is much better to start the day and to have the proper energy for our daily activities. And then during lunchtime, when the sun is out, is when we have the strongest digestive fire. So we can eat a little bit heavier. Like even if we eat meat, we can have it at this time because it will be easier to digest rather than in the morning or at night. And at night, we should have something very light and avoid raw vegetables, especially because they are a little bit hard to digest at night. So I think that's the most important thing, to eat properly. And I think it's the hardest thing too, because that's where we have our habits.
Yeah, we're so our habits are so entrenched, and food is we interact with food on so many levels. It's emotional and habitual,
Yes,
and as well as physical. So so people really need support when making those changes.
Yes, and as you mentioned right now, it's also vicious cycle in the way that, as you say, we have these cravings or these ways of eating, but if we eat in a balanced way, these cravings or these emotional eating habits are just going to disappear as well. So it will be
I love that. We don't force it. It's kind of like in other coaching programs, they call it crowding out. The more that we incorporate those healthy habits, we crowd out the ones that are more troublesome.
Yes, exactly. And that's the beauty of it, that just by making the small changes, then everything becomes more aligned and it becomes effortless. And that's what you want. You don't want to struggle with everything.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting to time, Kate, but I do have one final question for you, and that is, do you have a favorite Ayurvedic product? It could be a skincare product, a beauty product, something that's a particular food, a spice, something that you really have enjoyed.
Yes, I consume a lot of the teas.
Oh, the teas. Okay.
Yes, I love the teas.
Okay.
But usually I have the Vata or Pitta.
And these are the Maharishi products?
Yes.
The MAPI, Maharishi Ayurvedic Products International. Yeah.
Yes.
Teas. So these are teas that have the particular spices in them.
Yes, and
herbs.
Also has a particular effect as well. No?
Sure.
So the Pitta tends to bring you down a little bit in the way of if you have a lot of heat, it will make you a little bit cooler, and the Vata tea will relax you a lot. So it's very nice.
Right. Okay. All right. That's great. Yeah, those are great suggestions and things for people to consider.
Toothpaste from Maharishi as well.
Okay.
And I like very much the oil.
Is that the Maharishi brand? Or is that Aromair?
Because it's the Maharishi brand.
Oh, they do have a brand. Okay.
Yeah.
And you like their the oils for Abhyanga, the herbalized oils?
I use the Kapha oil.
Okay.
And
it
smells really nice, and I like the texture and everything.
Yeah. Do you know some of the ingredients in the what is it? It says in the oil, and then
Yes.
What are the, do you know some of the herbs in that, or?
I don't remember.
Okay, yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
But it smells really
It
good.
was, yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, those are nice choices, the teas and the toothpaste and the herbalized oils
Yes.
for the abhyanga, for the daily self massage. So great. Well, thank you so much, Kate. I really appreciate you being a guest today on the Healthy Peaceful podcast. And